And welcome back. Sheriff-elect Todd Delane of the Brown County Sheriff's Office and Officer Mike Knetzger of the Green Bay Police Department. Todd, we talked right before the show. You told me something I found really interesting. You said at night, driving home, just in case there are drunk drivers who would come in the wrong lane, that you drive on the right side of the road. Why is that?
Yeah, so my experience and so many officers' experiences working, afternoons and into the night shift, that we've seen so many horrific crashes. And when an intoxicated or impaired driver gets on a double-lane highway, oftentimes they think they're in a single-lane road, so oncoming traffic. So they are always in the right lane. Most often they're in the right lane. So they're driving down the highway the wrong direction, but in the right lane. So if you're in your right lane, you're less likely to
have a head-on.
Have a head-on, yeah.
As Sheriff-elect, what are you going to be pushing for when you take office in what, January?
January 7th, first Monday. Well, I'm certainly, we're going to continue to be involved in the OWI patrols, and certainly we want to do our part in reducing the number of people that are driving drunk in Brown County, and that's through education and awareness, talking to people, letting them know the many resources that are out there, and then enforcing OWI laws related to those who choose not to use those resources, because OWI and OWR crashes are completely 100% preventable, and they can avoid that and avoid having contact with us related to the operating while intoxicated.
Mike, if you were on patrol on New Year's Eve, and you've been on many New Year's Eve patrols, I'm sure, you're sitting in that squad car, what do you look for? Or when you're driving around, what do you look for?
Well, there are those telltale signs that law enforcement officers are trained to look for. Whether it's weaving within the lane of traffic, outside the lane of traffic. Those are some of your very common indicators. We also, it's also very common to find people driving without headlights on. That's almost a guaranteed indicator between midnight and 3:30 a.m. No headlights on at night is a very high likelihood that a driver is going to be impaired. And then, of course, they're looking for any other violations, but many of the violations are what they refer to as, driving a car is a divided attention task. Now, for example, you have to drive your car and now pay attention to the light that's coming up, whether it's red or green. Well, then all of a sudden, the drunk driver can't do that. So what do? They travel right through the red light. So we also look for traffic sign violations, and whether it's a traffic speed violations, in excessive speed, or extremely low speeds are also indicators of impairment.
So on New Year's Eve, what do you want people to know before they go out?
Well, I think it's a message that, we always preach is, you have to have that plan ahead of time regarding who is going to be the designated driver, or if you're not going to have a designated driver, what's going to be your mode of transportation home. We've both, echo the same message, is that there are so many resources out there today, whether it's a taxi cab, whether it's an Uber, a Lyft, a friend, a family member, whatever it might be. And we much rather have if you're not going to use any of those services and you're down to the family member, we much rather have a family member inconvenienced to wake them up, get them out of bed to come pick you up, versus not only a potential drunk driving arrest, but you can go from being a drunk driver to a homicide suspect real quickly through one mistake, driving through a light and killing or injuring somebody else.
And that has been your experience, Todd, that you tell families it's okay if the kid wakes you up in the middle of the night.
Absolutely. I would encourage families to talk about utilizing one another to avoid driving while impaired. To have that conversation ahead of time and say, listen, if for some reason your plan changes and you find that you're in a situation where you've had too much to drink, or the person that was supposed to give you the ride has had too much to drink, that you can always call. And so you plan ahead and have that discussion to say, you can always call me. Call a family member, call a friend, and have an understanding that that family member or friend will never, ever be upset. They'll gladly get up, you know, get their jacket on, and whether it's, you know, in the teens out or the weather's hot, no matter what time of the day, whatever the weather is, they'll get in their vehicle and go and pick you up and get you home safely. Because I think everyone recognizes that it would be much better to get the call from a person who needs a ride rather than getting that call or having a law enforcement officer show up at your door.
At your door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Todd, Mike, thanks so very much for joining us once again.
Yes.
Happy New Year to you. Hope it's an uneventful one for both of you. And if you have a newsmaker you would like to see on this program, let us know about it. Send us an email at tips@wearegreenbay.com or message us on Facebook. And be sure to join us once again Sunday morning at 7:30. Until then, have a great day.